begin with a chilling statistic. Somewhere this festive season, someone will die in a mindless moment of alcohol-fueled madness. One punch, one split second, one drunken idiot, another life lost. Since the year 2000, 90 Australians have lost their lives to these cowardly king hits. Christy.
Good evening, Australia. The clip we just viewed comes from a Today Tonight news report from December last year and gives us insight into the chilling violence that occurs on our city's streets. They give us the disturbing statistics that 90 Australians since 2000 have died from this form of aggressive behaviour, 28 of those occurring in New South Wales alone. Perhaps the most saddening part of the media item is the quote, "Somewhere this festive season, someone will die in a mindless moment of alcohol-fueled madness," because the prediction was accurate, and on New Year's Eve last year, the notorious King's Cross in Sydney City saw Sean McNeil king hit 5 people, one of which later died. Many may remember the death of Thomas Kelly, who on the 7th of July 2012, just after 10 p.m, was king hit by Kieran Loveridge on Victoria Street, King's Cross, knocking him unconscious and sending him crashing to the ground. Thomas Kelly, like many, did not survive the attack. Forward to New Year's Eve just past, where Sean McNeil went on a punching rampage leading to the death of Daniel Christie, and it seems as though no lessons have been learnt. Daniel Christie's attack happened metres from where Thomas Kelly was killed and left Sydney asking why such an event had to be relived. The Drug and Alcohol Review of 2012 asked the question, what are we leaving unproblematised? Are we, for example, turning a blind eye to violence in young Australian male culture? Amy Thomas is here with us today to give us insight into violence and the role that alcohol might play. Thanks, Lauren. Violence is an issue deep-rooted in any society around the world and takes many different forms. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as behaviour involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something, and defines aggression as feelings of anger or antipathy resulting in hostile or violent behaviour, readiness to attack or confront. Both definitions give accurate descriptions, however violence is a complex concept and it has many different layers. Ryan Bishop and John Phillips discuss violence in Theory, Culture and Society, stating that we speak of violence in several senses: physical, psychological, emotional and conceptual, and that violence can often be seen as justified or necessary. People's perceptions of violence differ, and more so the degree to which they find something violent can depend on their environment, upbringing and personal beliefs. It is the psychological and emotional violence that is perhaps the most overlooked, as its effects are not visible, however can often be harder to heal or manage. Bishop and Phillips comment that violence often escalates, which we can see when we examine events occurring on Sydney's streets, especially that of New Year's Eve, where one punch led to 5. What we are interested in concerning this type of violence and aggression is the role that alcohol or substances might play. Burswick, Janish and Lindenberry write a letter to the editor in regards to alcohol violence and the media, highlighting small ways in which we can educate people as to the effect of substances. They reveal that half of all homicide victims are under the influence of alcohol at their time of death, with the perpetrator rate at 60%. They state, however, that alcohol does not cause violence, but it is thought to be a facilitating factor. This is evident as not every Australian that goes out for a few drinks expresses violent or aggressive behaviour. However, it can be seen to heighten those who do. They identify 5 mechanisms that explain the relationship between alcohol and violence: the environment in which alcohol is consumed, cellular level effects on the central nervous system, personality predisposition, genetic factors, and previous neurological damage. We can see from each mechanism that there are factors that can't be changed, but adding alcohol to each one can result in violent or aggressive behaviour. The problem is that we cannot identify who may apply to each mechanism, and therefore who should or shouldn't consume alcohol. All that can be done is to reduce such environments or understandings that people have. King's Cross in Sydney City is an example of an environment that can prove toxic for such behaviour. The Assistant Commissioner Murdoch commented last year that we get all these people up to King's Cross and then turn off the transport, and there is just no motivation for people to leave the area and go home. This highlights the notorious environment, which sees the highest density of bars and clubs in Sydney City serving alcohol till 2 or 3 in the morning and not supplying an easy mode of transport home. Their study concerned the American television shows CSI and CSI Miami, where they discovered that very little correlation was shown between violence and alcohol usage. While they mentioned that television dramas are not supposed to reflect accurately on society, they were astonished at just how little accuracy there was, commenting that accurate media messages can influence societal beliefs about alcohol. They found that the average victim on the shows was between 30 to 35, but in reality it's closer to 20 to 25, which is also the highest alcohol consumption age group. Brandon Jack wrote an article for the Sydney Morning Herald this year, addressing this need for media to be more responsible for our youth's education. He writes, "Our families are no longer the sole influences over our morality, and as a result we've lost firm guidance over the integrity of today's youth." He goes on to comment that schools must do more not just to create good students, but good people. While the laws have been tightened and the lockout has been integrated in King's Cross, maybe, as Jack expresses, the problem needs to be dealt with while children are still in school. The same concept was addressed in the Drug and Alcohol Review of 2012, which highlighted that Thomas Kelly's attack happened around 10 p.m. before he had consumed any alcohol, and therefore his attack was unrelated to alcohol. Violence, unfortunately, is something that will always exist, but it doesn't need to exist in the way that we are seeing it today. Thanks, Amy. While the complexities of violence, aggression and substance abuse are obvious, and while the laws have been tightened, it seems that more needs to be done. That's all from us tonight. For more information, visit our website and enjoy the rest of